Hey everyone, welcome to Eternal Brews. My name is Pojo, and today we're going to be talking about the Ephemeral Army deck, which is a fun little deck designed around Ephemeral Wisp and Hooru Envoy. The basic idea behind this deck is to create big giant monsters and benefit in card advantage and advantage based on recursion. So for those of you who don't know, recursion is the idea that a repeatable effect, either through an effect like mirror image, where you play a copy of a unit, or an effect like twinning, where you draw copies of units. In those ways, we are playing the same cards over and over again. The other type of recursion is the type where a unit comes back from the void, and we play it again and again and again. So we're trying to repeat the same effect over and over and over again. And there's one particular way that we do this, and this is Ephemeral Wisp. So the basic idea behind the deck is to build a huge wisp. We use things like Accelerated Evolution to give it flying, endurance, and +1/+1 bonuses. We use cards like Protect and Safe Return to stack on those bonuses and give it Aegis. We use Predator's Instinct to give it Killer, and then every time that it comes back from the void, it renews that killer effect, and it renews any Aegis effects that it might get. And then at the very top, we use Righteous Fury to give it lifesteal and double damage. Once this Wisp has lifesteal and double damage, it tends to stall out pretty much every aggro deck, and it's very, very hard to get rid of. And it's just a lovely, lovely card. Real fun. We also use Strength of the Pack at the very top to give both a giant bonus and also play a copy. And there's a couple of other effects here that just affect the card in some special ways, but it's generally just a pretty simple deal. And since the deck can't rely on just Ephemeral Wisp, we have a second card that happens to love these same spells exactly as much as Wisp does, which is Hooru Envoy. Now, Hooru Envoy says that whenever you play a spell directly on Hooru Envoy, you draw a card. And as it turns out, all of the spells that we are playing are cards that you play directly on Hooru Envoy. We play Safe Return, we play Protect, we play Mirror Image, and Accelerated Evolution in particular is very good because it has that echo effect. So we draw 2 cards for the Accelerated Evolutions that we play on Hooru Envoy, and thus gain card advantage out of Accelerated Evo. You can also use cards like Levitate or Finest Hour, but this deck is more focused on the permanent advantage and the combo potential of recurring effects on Wisp and recurring strength on Hooru Envoy. So that's our basic game plan. So we use both of these cards to make this kind of fun stuff happen. We also have a single twinning in here to draw a copy of a unit in our hand, which we can use with Safe Return to make those big units duplicate in other fun ways, or we can use just to make a backup of one of our crucial combo pieces. It's generally most effective to target the Hooru Envoy with spells, but it is based entirely on whether or not you have the Protect cards, the Safe Return cards, and anything that actually allows you to prevent hard removal. If you're worried about hard removal, then it's actually better to stack things on the Wisp, and deciding which one to put the thing on is pretty crucial in figuring out the rest of the deck. In addition, we also have Amber Acolyte, which can serve as a backup giant dude with Righteous Fury on occasion, but also allows us to fix for the 4 colors in this deck pretty well. We run seats of many different colors. We try to guarantee that we have double green first, but we also have like a couple of other options and make sure that we have yellow for the fixing. Lots of good stuff there. And yeah, finally at the very top, we have Harsh Rule, which kills all units, and Lightning Storm, which deals 2 damage to each unit. Now, with Wisps, we really don't care about killing our own units, so Harsh Rule and Lightning Storm are especially effective in that respect. And with Hooru Envoys, we can very often tuck them into our hand with Safe Return on the turn before we do any sort of big game-altering spell. So that tends to be very effective for settling the board and putting us in a position where we are on top. The deck's super fun to play. It's not super competitive, but it's reasonable enough, and I'm really excited to show it off. So without any further ado, let's get into the game. All right, so here we go up against Killing Spree 186. The opening hand is okay, not too bad. We got Accelerated Evolution, which is a very strong card. Lightning Storm, which is pretty good against Recano decks and token decks. And Rise to the Challenge, along with 2 Seek powers, so we are able to potentially hit a combo piece. I think I want to throw this hand because I'm a little bit more interested in finding an actual combo piece. This looks a little bit better, but not by much. So, we have the necessary colors that we need, and we have Amber Acolyte, which is a solid way to set up some combos. Combined with Rise to the Challenge, we should be okay. We'll just Rise to the Challenge for our important stuff. And then after that, we will Harsh Rule and clear the board. With any luck, that 2/2 will not get any bigger. Okay, so safe return here to get a 3/2 is pretty fun. I think I might just go ahead and play a power. And oh, let's play the other Amber Acolyte. Get the red. Now we've got 3 blue, we've got 1 red for Rise to the Challenge, so everything's looking pretty good. And I probably should have gotten the red first, but it's late in the evening and we're playing fairly tired. That's okay. Alright, so Crown Watch Deserter number 3, or number 2 rather. I'm willing to block one of those, maybe. I think overall I'm just going to leave it alone. We'll chump block twice next turn, but I want to Rise to the Challenge for our key piece first. So let's get the Hooru Envoy, since we've got Protects and Safe Returns to develop with. My opponent has gotten 1 Warcry in. He's going to get quite a few this turn. And that Outland Sniper means a lot of damage to us, but I believe we can ignore it. We'll just chump block here. And wipe the board. Alright, and there's 1 Warcry left. So now we just have to live through whatever gets Warcried. Shouldn't be too hard because Hooru Envoy is poised to go off this turn. I have 3, 4, 5, 6, which means that I can play Envoy, Accelerate Evo, and a Protect or Safe Return. Dusthoof Brawler is not a real card, but that's okay. We'll go ahead and take that. That should actually do him quite a world of good here. It would be pretty nasty for that to get Warcried. But it was not Warcried, it is just a card at the moment. So we'll live. Start my turn. I've got a twinning, which is pretty cute. I could twin Hooru Envoy, but I think I'm going to have to wait. Give that flying first. And we have Strength of the Pack as well, so things are looking pretty good. Go ahead and end the turn. When the Torch happens, we draw another card. And I believe I'll just Protect here. There's a case for Safe Return as well, because another Torch here looks pretty bad. But there is no other Torch, there's just Crown Watch Deserter. We block here. He's mousing over a Finest Hour. We'll go ahead and take the damage. Alright, so Ephemeral Wisp is going to be pretty helpful here. Safe Return would be okay. What I need to do the most here is make sure that I have some form of defense against Dusthoof Brawler and that kind of nonsense. So let's go ahead and play that out. We'll get our 7th power. We'll give this Endurance. And we'll attack in for 6. Now the absolute best thing here would be to get a Righteous Fury. If we don't get a Righteous Fury, we'll probably live. I'll block here and block here. We'll do the fight. There was no extra spell there, so that's good news. We get to draw another card. Predator's Instinct's pretty helpful. I'll go ahead and safe return this, so now it's quite big. And we take 2 damage here, so things are going to get really dicey for a turn or two. But we do have some good options. We're going to twin this. That gives us an 8/6 Flying Endurance Aegis. We drop it down, and we give it Killer. And go ahead and get rid of that Dust Hoof Brawler. You're not a real card, Dust Hoof Brawler. Go home. Safe return is pretty interesting, and the Ephemeral Wisp comes back, which gives us an added degree of usefulness. If we safe return here, the Killer effect does in fact renew, so that's pretty useful. But we're just going to Strength of the Pack this. And what do you know, we got a Mirror Image as well. That one kills this. And then we attack for 11, and we'll have lethal next turn if we don't get torched. Pretty tight game. Rakano is not a very good matchup for this deck. It's pretty unreliable, so it does need a little time to get going. Oni Striker, a lovely card, but not as big as our Envoys right now, so that is game. What a fun one. Alright. So again, this is by no means a super competitive deck. I wouldn't really recommend it in the echelons of Master, but it's a fun one to play around with and a good concept to explore. We ended up adding Lightning Storms to it. There are a lot of different tweaks that you can make based on the meta to make the deck better or worse. It does not survive particularly well against 4x, or rather 8x Silence Combre decks. So be wary when those are popular in the meta. We took advantage of a brief time when they were not popular in the meta to make this deck and build around it and have a lot of fun with it. And it's been a real delight. So been really fun to play with. For an alternate variant, we went down to a 3-color version. This one sacrifices some ability to deal with flying units for Desert Marshals and other options. We do include the 1-up Desert Marshal. I believe that's a pretty solid include in a lot of different cases. And we also use Paladin Oathbook, which is really, really strong with Ephemeral Wisps and Hooru Envoys both. Mostly Ephemeral Wisps, though. Because we're using Oathbook, we have reasons to use Finest Hour, which allows us to give Ephemeral Wisp that first attack to get the ball rolling on Wisp's Oathbooky spiraling out of control, and that card is particularly good with Hooru Envoy for protecting it from torches and for making it just a really, really nasty card. And because we can focus more on the green side of this deck, we get to run Augmented Form as a 4-of, just a really fun way to slot in a legendary that you wouldn't otherwise use. That's one of the things that I hope to accomplish with several of these Eternal Brews, is to show you some ways that you can use legendaries that you might not like or that you were considering dusting. Just give you some extra options there. So I hope this video was useful to you. Both of these decks will be posted in the description below. Feel free to like or subscribe if you like the content, and we'll be back with more brews, more Eternal Basics, and many, many more other things soon. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Have a good one.